Welcome to Kids Craft Lab, the first time we're doing it on a Thursday afternoon. Today we're doing spooky sponge painting. We're going to do cats and bats and spiders. So we're going to get started. I just dropped my spider on the floor. Spiders. Anyway, we're going to get started to show you what it's all about. And let me just go over some of the supplies that we're going to be working with today before I turn it to my table so you can see what I'm doing. I printed out off of my printer some shapes and silhouettes of my bats and my spiders and my cats. But then I thought, not everybody has a printer. And so I brought some supplies so that we can draw our own shapes to use as a stencil to sponge paint with. So I'll show you how to draw a simple bat, a spider, and a cat. So we, just paper and a pencil and some scissors is what we're going to use. And I brought some containers that are round so I can trace some of the shapes in spiders and bats and cats. So you could gather up some of those. And of course, we're going to sponge paint. So you're going to want a sponge. And this is kind of an old sponge that has been used for paint before. And I'm going to cut it up. So I've got that. Oh, and of course, I have some tempera paint, lots of different colors. I have purple, and I have orange, and I have yellow. And then I have, just in case, instead of getting all gooey using a sponge to paint with, I brought sponge brushes, and then I also brought just a regular brush too, just in case you want to paint with one of those things. And then I brought lots of different kinds of paper because when you paint on paper, sometimes the absorbency of the paper will make the colors look differently. So I have some regular white paper. I have a file folder that's kind of shiny. And so then I have some construction paper, lots of different colors here. I have some construction paper, and I have some poster board, and let's see what happens. So let's get started. I already cut some of the shapes that I printed off my computer, but if you have some that you want to print off, you'd start by cutting it out. So I'm going to cut out my bat, and I'm just cutting out the bat like this. And when you cut out a shape, you get the shape of the bat in two ways. Oops. You get the shape of the bat in two ways. You get the solid bat shape, and I'm trying to cut fast, and you get the open shape from what's left over from cutting out the solid bat. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going around his ear, I'm going around his head, and up his other ear, and down his wing, and over here. Okay, so there's the solid bat shape, and here is the open bat shape, and we can use them both. So if you wanted to use this as a stencil, all you need to do is put a little piece of tape right there, and then you can work with painting through the open shape. So that's what I did with all of my bat and spider and cat shapes that I printed off the computer. And there's my spider open shape, and here's a cat open shape, and here's another simpler cat open shape. And I have the solid shapes of these as well. So let's work with the bat one first. And I'm going to now switch to my table because, I'm going to show you how to cut your own bat shape, which is really fun. Okay, so I'm going to put these down out of the way so I don't lose them. Okay, switching to the table, and let's do a bat together. Okay. All right, so what I want is a piece of paper. It's got a piece of scrap paper, and let's do a bat, and I'm going to fold it in half because, bats, I did this one earlier, bats are the same on one side as the other. That's symmetrical. So I'm folding my piece of paper in half. And I'm going to use my marker to draw a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to start with a bat head. So if I look at the shape that I cut, or that I printed off the computer, I'm going to kind of try to follow that with my marker. So I'm going to do a little head right here. And I'm going to do a big ear. And I'm going to do the little side of the head, little round. And I'm going to go over to the wing, right over to the edge of my paper. Now, if you look at the wings, it's kind of like a scallop, and a scallop is like a U shape, upside down U shape. So I'm going to do a scallop, and a scallop, and a scallop, and then the rest of the bat body goes down to the edge of the folded piece of paper. So that's what I've got. Do you think that will make a bat? That's a good way to make your own bat shape. A little head, a big ear, a side head, a wing, scallop, 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 body. So we're going to cut that and see what it turns out like. I hope it turns out good, because we're going to use it to paint with in a minute. These are our templates. Now this one I'm not going to use the open bat shape from, because I wanted my wing to be really big and it went all the way to the side of the paper. And whoops, I'm cutting and you're not seeing. All the way to the side of the paper there. I'm going down the body and cutting it out. And so my open bat shape didn't work this time. I just got scraps of paper, but that's okay. All right, bat. Here's the bat that I drew and cut. Where we go. Hey, that turned out pretty good. All right, so that's how to do a bat shape. So now let's do cat. All right, I'm going to put bat over here, and let's do cat. How to draw a cat shape. Now I printed that one off the internet, but let's take a look at it. Let's analyze it so we can draw our own with maybe some containers. I see kind of like an oval and a smaller one, and then a bigger one, head, middle body, and bottom body, and then of course a tail. So let's try to do that with some supplies that we got here. Whoops. So I have another sheet of paper, and I have some jar lids. Gotta get this over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I have a jar lid that's like that. That came off a frosting can. Then I have another jar lid that's a little bigger that came off a coffee can. No, hot cocoa can. Same. Okay, and then I have another smaller one that came off a Pringles can. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to start with the bottom. I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to trace a circle around the big lid. Put that to the side. Then I don't want to set it on top, because then it might look like a snowman. I want it to look like a cat, so I'm going to make it go down just a little bit, and I'm just going to overlap it, and then I'm going to trace the top end of it. There we go. Still, oh, we're getting there. And then the head. And again, I'm not setting it on top because I don't want it to look like a snowman. I'm overlapping it just a little bit. And I am going to trace around it, the top edge. Okay, cool. I think that's kind of the shape of the cat. Okay, so now I want to put a tail on it. So to the side, I'm just going to go kind of draw a loop. Tail, 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 tail. There's a loop. Easy breezy, right? Except I don't have any ears. So let's do some ears. Ears are kind of triangle shaped, don't you think? So let's do kind of a rounded triangle shape here. And a rounded triangle shape there. Hey, I got a cat. All right, so I'm going to cut that out. And that can be a shape that we can use to sponge paint around. Now, it will take me a little while to cut this out. So maybe I will just use the one cat that I printed off the internet because I just wanted to show you how to do this, and then you can take your time and do your own cat. Actually, I'm almost done, so here we go. Didn't take me as long as I thought. There's the cat. Cat shape. It looks pretty good, eh? Oh, it doesn't have any eyes. How are we going to do eyes? Maybe I'll just draw on some eyes, I think, later. I think that's what I will do. All right, so there's cat. And let's see, we did bat. We did cat. Oh, spider, spider, spider. Again, we need another sheet of paper. Oh, that I dropped on the floor. Here we go. Whoops. Another sheet of paper for spider. How are we going to make our own spider? Well, again, these circles, I think, these jar lids are going to help us out. So, if I take a look at the spider that I got off the internet, I see two circles, don't you? And then I see some stick legs. So I'm going to take my coffee can lid and I'm going to do a big circle. And then I'm going to take my frosting lid and I'm going to overlap it so it doesn't look like a snowman. And I'm going to make another circle just partway. Now spiders have 8 legs. So if I cut this out, I'm going to have to glue some legs to this spider, which is, oh, I forgot to tell you, you're going to need a glue stick. Make your own spider. There we go. And glue stick, glue stick, glue stick. Glue stick. All right. Now, I have another scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to cut out 8 legs. So I folded my scrap in half so I can cut 2 at a time. So I'm going to go like on an angle like this. There's 1 leg. Now that doesn't look right quite yet, but there we go. Now I have 2 spider legs. See how I did that? 2 spider legs. I'm going to do that a couple more times. 2. Oops, and cut it in half. 4. I've built my spider. 2, 4. Uh-oh. Needs more paper. Here's some. 2, 4, folding it. You're gonna make some more spider legs. See how I did that? I want a little bend in my spider legs. 2, 4, 6. 1 more time. And 8. Now I have 8 spider legs. I'm so excited. Okay, so it doesn't look like a spider quite yet. So let's use the glue stick and glue those legs. Now if you take a look at the spider, there's kind of like the head and there's the abdomen. That's where the legs are attached. So take your glue stick, put a bunch of glue on the edges of the spider butt, and then start sticking your legs on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 on the other side. 1. Oops, I need more glue. Need more glue. 1, 2, oh, that's a little one. 3, ah, and the last one, 4. Whoops, I'm kind of off the screen. There, can you see the spider that we built? All right, so let me get some of the scraps out of the way because now we have a bunch of cool stuff. We have the ones I printed off the internet, of course. Then we have the ones that we built. We have a spider, we have a bat, and we have a cat. So now it's time to get out the paint and pick some paint colors and pick some paper. All right, I'm just going to put these out of the way so that we can use them one at a time. So I think the first thing that I'm going to work on is a piece of construction paper. Now we have some kits for sale at the museum where we provided a hole that you can get if you're into Get Crafty, that we can have a whole bunch of different colors of construction paper that you can have right on hand if you pick up one of those kits. So I'm going to do bat first, and I'm going to do the bat that I cut, my scrap bat. And I'm going to put my bat right in the middle of my piece of black construction paper. And of course, I am going to need a sponge to sponge paint around my bat. So I'm cutting up my sponge into different chunks so that later I can use each sponge for different colors. So I'm chunking up the sponge. There we go. And now I'm going to get out my paint, and I have a paper plate, and I'm going to squirt different colors on here so I can make my bat look really cool. Whoops, come on. Hey. I guess it got all stuck. There's some yellow. And I'm going to do some orange. Better squirt this time. Yep, that one squirted. And I am going to do some purple. I think that's purple. And I'm going to do some red. Just a little bit. Oops. Okay, now we have our colors and we have our sponge and we have our pattern. I'm going to put that pattern in the middle of the paper that you're going to paint on. So then you pick up your sponge and you go, what do I want? I want some Halloween colors for my bat. So I think I'm going to start with yellow. And I dip my sponge in the yellow. And then I go all around the edge of the bat, just like this. And oops, sometimes the bat moves. So if you have a piece of tape, you can tape your bat to your paper, and then it won't move while you're painting it. Oops, see, I moved him. Oh no! There we go. And you go all around the edges of your bat, and that's the color yellow. So I did yellow. I think I want to do orange. What would that look like on my black construction paper? Now each different weight of paper and each different texture of paper is going to take the paint a little differently. Now to me, this isn't showing up as much as I want it to, so I think I'm going to try my my file folder next. But so there we go. We've got a bat. And I'm pulling it off, and you can see a bat showing up on my construction paper. There he is. Can you see the bat shape? Very cool. So now I'm going to take my file folder, and because that's lighter color, and I'm going to pull it apart, and I'm going to do So I'm taking my file folder. See, it's just a big old file folder like that. And I'm going to rip it in half. What shape should I do next? Let's do a cat. Let's do the kitty. I like the cat. Okay, let's make sure you can see that pretty good. There, okay. So I think I'm going to do purple because that's a great Halloween color. And so I dipped my sponge in purple and I'm going all around the edges of my cat. Oh yeah, the color's showing up a little bit better now. Black construction paper sucks it in a little bit and you don't see all the colors that you want, but it really looks kind of dark and spooky and Halloween when you're done with it. But this is gonna look purpley and cool. So all around spooky sponge painting, here we go. There's purple. What should I do next? Oh, how about some red? Red and purple. We're gonna make some red in this painting. Now you can use any colors you want, and you know what? You can take your brushes, you know, the sponge brushes that I showed you a minute ago, you can do those too. That would work just as well. And so I'll do that. I'm going to do a sponge brush now, and I'm going to do orange, and I'm going to do sponge brush, all over the place. Whoops. And that is looking very Halloween-y. Okay, so I got sponge brush and orange. And just for fun, just to give it a little bit of glow to the edges, I'm doing yellow around the edge too. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Pulling it off kind of easy. And we've got a cat. So earlier, I said something about, oh, my cat doesn't have any eyes. So let's give that cat some eyes. Whoops. It's a little purple. Just a little eye dab. Eye dab. Eye dab. Right there. Woo. There we go. Now my cat has some eyes. Okay. Very good. So now, what shape we haven't done yet? We haven't done spider. I am wondering what cool paper would look good on the spider that we built. Let's see. I have some yellow. What do you think about that? Let's do some yellow. I have some great looking yellow. So I'm going to put my yellow paper down, and the spider is so big that this big piece of paper is going to be really good. Okay, there we go. Fit my spider on there. And let's just go for it. I'm going to use this brush this time, and I'm going to do some red, you know, red around my spider. Ooh, that looks really good on yellow. I'm doing it all around his legs as quick as I can with my brush. And you know, I know sometimes if you're a kid, you like to go like this. That would work too. But I like to dab a little bit because it gives it more texture, but you can also streak it on, which is awesome. Uh-oh, my spider leg moved. Okay, so I'm doing red all around. And all of these are great Halloween animals this time of year. You can use these for decorations in your house for Halloween night. Okay, that's just red, but I think I want some purple too. Where's my purple? Oh yeah, so I got my purple sponge, and I'm just gonna put some purple on there, here and there, just to add some cool, spidery, oops, spooky colors. Uh-oh, I moved my spider, so now I have to pick him up because he's stuck to my finger. But there you can see the spider and how he turned out. Very cool. All right, so there's my yellow spider on a glowy yellow piece of poster board. That turned out really good. Okay, so I do have some more black, and what I want to do, actually I lost it. A minute. Oh, here it is. Actually, what I want to do before I do that black piece of paper to end with, I want to do an open pattern. Okay, so I showed you some of the open patterns that when I cut out my spider from the printed one, and I cut out a cat. Let's do an open pattern where we sponge paint the whole inside. So there's a different shape of a cat, and we're going to stencil it or sponge paint it and see what that turns out like. And I'm going to use all of my colors, I think. I don't have a whole lot of red left, and I used it all up on the spider. So let's squirt that out. Just a little bit more. Okay, good. So let's fill in the open pattern of the cat. What should I start with? Orange, I think. And I'm holding it down and I'm going around. It's going to be an orange cat. Okay. And maybe some yellow. Oops. Yellow, yellow. Yellow doesn't show up too much on manila file folders, but we're just going to put that in there for fun. And red, of course. Red, 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 red. All good fall Halloween colors on his tail and on his back, making the hair stand up on his back. And a dibber dab of purple. That's an invented word, by the way. Okay, there we go. Let's see what we got. We filled in the inside this time. Oh, sweet. I like that one the best. And of course you can do a little bit of eye. I'm gonna take my brush, a little dark eye, and little teeny eyes. Oops, there we go. There's my cat. Okay, so for the final one that we're doing today, I think I'm gonna try and see what some of those colors look like on a black piece of poster board. And I'm gonna use my open pattern of my, well, we already did cat. Where's my open pattern of the bat? Here it is. Oh, I lost it. Anyway, there's the open pattern of the cat. So flip that over. Let's see what we can do. All right, let's get a big bunch of yellow. So I got another big sponge brush and some yellow and see what happens. I'm holding it down. Black is kind of hard to have things show up. When I see this, it looks almost green on my poster board. So that's kind of cool to do some experiments. What kind of papers work best for the art that you want to work out? So more yellow. Got it. And I think I'm going to be as colorful as I can. So there is some orange. And of course some red. Red doesn't show up very much over the top of everything. Oh yeah, it's cool. Ta-da, a little bit more yellow. I liked yellow. And we're done. Whoops, what's that? Piece of fuzz. Okay, there we go. Let's see what happens to the cat. Ooh, now I think as that dries, you're going to see some of the colors stand up a little bit more. See how that's going to stand out. That is a very cool looking cat, and that's going to look really cool for Halloween night. Cat at night sitting out. You could even maybe take some crayons and put a moon over in the side. You could draw a moon, a round moon, just to fill in some background details. Anything you want. So I think my favorite one today was a cat on a file folder. Looks really fun. All right, well, I hope you had some fun playing with the paints and checking out different papers. And join us again next time when we do another Kids Craft Lab. I'm going to go back to the regular FaceTime camera. There. Yeah, I hope you can have fun with us next time on Kids Craft Lab. Bye for now. I saw something I had never ever seen before. And here's where you get to make a choice. Was it a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex? Okay, so now how are we gonna paint with pine cones? Maybe 3 pine cones. What do you think? Yeah, 3 pine cones. And then the fun starts. What's happening here? Well, when we pull back on our little shooter here, that creates potential energy. And then when I let it fly, it turns that potential energy into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion. And boom!